Hey guys, today we're going to talk about an article Barron's wrote in 1999 about how Amazon was hugely overvalued. Let's get this rolling. So, short little disclaimer here before we get started, I own stock in Amazon. Also, many of the facts and figures I'm going to mention here are from Brad Stone's book, The Everything Store. It's an awesome book, check it out on Audible, the link's in the description. Anyway, this 1999 article from Barron's was titled Amazon Bomb. The article said that Amazon stock was massively overvalued, and now that the company is worth $1.6 trillion in market cap, I think we can say that Barron's might have got this one wrong. Looking at this article now is pretty interesting. It can actually teach us a lot about why short-term profitability isn't always the most important thing for businesses, and how small companies can actually beat bigger ones with more resources. So, first thing that Barron's mentions, and really a point that they make over and over in the article, is that Amazon was unprofitable. Now, obviously, every company has to make money eventually to be valuable. But pointing this out with no context completely ignores Amazon's long-term strategy. The way that Amazon became a trillion-dollar company and the go-to for online shopping is by achieving scale. Remember, they started off as just a bookstore, and now they sell everything. That's not easy to do. If the company was just focused on profitability, they wouldn't have been able to make investments into expanding to new product categories and building a better personalization engine. Bezos understood this from the very beginning. Back in those days, Amazon's unofficial motto was "Get Big Fast." If the company was only focused on short-term profits, there's no way they could be the company that they are today. Another argument that the Barron's article made was that Amazon had no chance against bigger competitors who were just starting to enter the online market. That's companies like Barnes& Noble and Walmart. It's pretty funny to think about now because Amazon is now way bigger than both of those companies. But this was actually a pretty common belief back then. In 1997, Jeff Bezos made a presentation to a group of Harvard Business School students. Afterwards, one of them told Bezos straight up that he was going to get crushed and that he should just sell his company to Barnes& Noble while he still could. Jesus Christ, can you imagine being this guy? But hey, maybe back then it didn't seem so ridiculous. In 1997, Barnes & Noble had almost $2.8 billion in annual sales. Amazon had just $148 million. Since Barnes & Noble had more money and locations across the country, on paper, it could offer faster delivery and better customer experience. But the Barron's article and that guy from Harvard were both ignoring something important. It's not easy for any company to just completely shift gears and completely change their processes. Just because Barnes & Noble was great at selling books physically, that didn't mean they were going to be great at selling books online. Making sure an in-store experience is great and all the shelves are stocked is one thing. Making sure that you have a great website, an easy ordering process, quick delivery right to someone's home, that's another thing entirely. Lots of traditional retailers had a tough time adjusting to this shift. Around this time, Toys R Us tried to sell toys online. They ended up getting a fine from the FTC because they were unable to fulfill customer orders. Doing e-commerce really is not that easy. Eventually, they decided that the best way to go online was just to partner with Amazon. Now, it's easy to hate on this Barron's article, but it was actually very right about one thing. The tech sector in general was hugely overvalued at the time. 1999 was the peak of the dot-com bubble. Since the internet was still very new, people were pretty excited. They understood its potential. They understood that billion-dollar businesses could be built on top of it. But they got a little too excited. Businesses that had no real path to ever being profitable were getting unreal levels of funding. The most well-known example here, probably Pets.com. The company had received $300 million in investment capital that included money from Amazon. Still, they were never able to figure out things that seemed pretty basic for an online pet supplies company, like how to ship large bags of dog food. It went public in February of 2000 and went bankrupt within 9 months. Eventually, people realized how ridiculous some of these companies were, and the tech sector crashed. When the bubble ended, even Amazon looked like it was in trouble. The company lost 90% of its stock value from its peak. Some people argue that the company only made it through it all because of a lucky break. Amazon took out $600 million in bonds in 2000, just a month before the bubble popped. People say that you need a little bit of luck to be successful. I guess Amazon proves it. So hey, what can we take away from all this? Well, first of all, it's really easy to call the Barron's article stupid. It's really easy to act like you would have known better at this time, and it's really easy to fantasize about buying a ton of Amazon stock back then. But at the end of the day, most people in 1999 could not have predicted what Amazon would become. At the time, they just started expanding to new product categories other than books. Hugely successful offerings like Amazon Prime were still 6 years away. Maybe the only person who had an idea of what Amazon would become back then was Jeff Bezos himself.